Are you ready to be in the spotlight? Are you ready to share your story with the world? Well, Snails with No Shells is where you need to be. Available on all digital platforms, Facebook, and YouTube. Snails with No Shells. Leave that shell at the door. Where did we go wrong? We were doing so Greetings, beautiful ones. I am Miss BJ Martin, and this is Snails with No Shells. Leave that shell at the door. That is my only rule in this room. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. This is a very special year, a very spiritual year for all of us. And I just want to say this, whether you celebrate New Year now or you're already celebrated or you celebrate it later, it doesn't matter. The calendar year says it's 2023. So that's what we are, okay? All right. So let's get into it. I want to bring just a beautiful guest. I want to bring him up. He was the first guest on my first show that I ever did. And he is one of the main reasons behind why I do what I do. You know, why Snails with No Shells is here. And, you know, since he's my first guest, he's going to always be my first guest every year. So I'm going to bring him on out. My brother from another mother, as they say, Chris Enlightened.
Winning! What's going on? How's everybody doing today?
Right. Yes, this is Chris Enlightened. We've been known each other since we say yay high to a fly since
Babies.
babies, elementary school, and now we're all full grown adults. And I think we've done pretty good, Chris. What you think?
Oh, we've done amazing. We're just a reflection of all the good teachers and all the people that's invested in us over the years. So we're doing
Yes.
amazing. Yeah,
Yes.
we're ambassadors of our family. We're out here winning. Yeah.
Yes. I love it. I love it. So, Chris, we're going to talk about 2023. This is a 7 year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about 2023, the 7 years. So, we're going to be talking about numerology. If you have not heard of it, you're going to hear about it today. It's a
Mm-hmm.
system called numerology. So, we're going to get into it, what this 7 year means, and even why am I even calling it a 7 year? All right. So, Chris Light, let's get into why am I saying this is a 7 year?
Well, we all know about numbers, and you can't go a day without using numbers. And when you add numbers up, you get an answer. So this year is a 7 year because if you add 2023 together, you get the number 7. And every number, once you deduce it down or reduce it down to a single digit, it has a certain type of resonation, or it resonates a certain way that reverberates through your reality. So seven's all about spirituality, intuitive thinking, imagination, inquisitiveness, all the good spiritual things. So I don't care who you are or where you are, you're going to be either running to growing spiritually or evolving or changing, or it's going to be beating you up because you can't stop it.
So that sounds like everyone's going to be doing some inner work this year.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be doing inner work. Everyone's going to be changing, or they're either going to be running away from where they are spiritually and trying to evolve, or they're going to be running back to their foundation and trying to evolve through that. Because people usually hold on to what they're comfortable with. But when you start to really claim your divinity, you'll realize that what you were using only got you so far. And it's time to get a new system or a new way of thinking in order to evolve further than where you were. But it's not wrong or right. You do what you do.
That is so interesting. And when you say we use numbers all day, you're absolutely right. We wake up, we look and see what time it is.
You
Okay.
can't go.
We use numbers to call people. we use our calendar to see what the date is. So yes,
Hmm.
numbers, we have to use numbers all the time.
Right. You can't go away from them. You can't go away from them. There's two different sets of systems of numerology. The first one, the oldest, is the Chaldean. That's the one I use. And then Pythagoras came out and created one. And that's a lot easier for people to use because over here in the Western world, we use numbers. Well, we use the alphabet, A through Z. And with Pythagorean numerology, they go by 1 through 9. And each number represents a letter. So one would be A, two would be B, all the way to 9, and then it repeats, all the way to 9, and then it repeats. But Chaldean's a little different. I feel as if Chaldean is better because it gives you the resonance of who you feel you are. Pythagorean goes by what you were when you were born, like what's on your birth certificate, but you can get the energy of your name by what you go by. Me, fortunately, Christopher Earl Huffman adds up to a 5. That's my government name, family.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
Chris Enlightened, I did the numbers, and that also added up to 5.
Oh
So when I
wow.
chose Chris Enlightened, I seen, okay, I must have really needed this thing because there's double fives. And whenever you have a double numbers, it just makes it more, it just gives it more umph. So
Mm.
I'm 5 on both sides.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. You
Okay.
know, some people may be a number 2. Their number might add up to a 2. Their life path might add up to a number 2, and that's all about being peaceful, shy, cooperative, considerate. But if you're going to be a businessman and you want to be a boss, you may want to do something that adds up to a 1 or 8. So you may change your name so the resonance of who you are resonates different to when you're speaking with people.
Mm-hmm,
You know,
mm-hmm.
so numbers can be manipulated as well. They're like algorithms or code.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that 8 because I know
Oh
that
yeah.
8. I don't know. I think of the 8. Well, that's the month I was born on the August 8th month, and I
Okay.
think about, yeah, that abundance. That's what I think when the 8. I feel like that's an abundant number. But so we kind of need to go back a little bit, Chris, because
Hmm.
when these numbers out, tell us how do you even figure out how to get the number? And do we need
All
pen
right.
and paper? Ladies and gentlemen, how about we get pen and paper out?
Yeah,
Or
get pen and
your
paper out
phone? Your
on
note?
your phone, on your computer. If you have a pen and paper out, or if you don't have a pen and paper out and you're on your phone or you're by your computer, go online or Google and type in Chaldean numerology. And a system is going to come up. And if you have a pen and paper, I want you to write on the top 1, 2, 3, all the way to 8. And leave about an inch between them, 1 through 8. Okay. Now, when you're done with that, under the number 1, I want you to write A. Under the number 2, I want you to write B, 3C, D4, 5E, 6U, 7O, and 9P. Okay. Under that, under 1, I want you to write I, 2K, 3G, DM, 5H, 6V, 7Z, and 8P. Okay. Underneath that, I want you to write Q under 1, R under 2, L under 3, T under 4, N under 5, and W under 6. Go back to 1 and put a J. Go to 3 and put an S. And go to 5 and put an X. Go back to 1 and put a Y. Okay, so now you have the code written out. Let's say your number is Ann. Let's say your name, your first, middle, and last name is Ann. We're going to make it simple. So A equals 1, okay? N equals 5, and another N equals 5, okay? So that adds up to 11, okay? So if you add them all up, you come up with the number 11, and you have to reduce that number 11 down to 2. And that gives them the energy of who you are. So if you're a 2, that means you're going to be like a shy person, very cooperative, intuitive, peaceful. You want to keep the peace. You know, me personally, when I started to learn numerology, I had to correlate it with something because I see my wife and my daughter, they were born with innate abilities. They were oracles, they're very intuitive, they see things. And here I am, didn't have any abilities that I knew of.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started to pick up numerology, I had to correlate it with something. So when I look at the number one, I think of the energy of the number one. I think of a leader. And number one resonates with the inner of someone who's original, taking action, independent, creative, competitive, a leader.
That
When you
sounds like
think of the number
Aries.
one,
That
it
sounds like
does sound like Aries. It
mm,
does sound like Aries. But I also want you to think about the negative aspects too. Everyone always wants to focus on the good things, but you have to worry about the negative aspects of that energy as well, because until you master both sides of you, you won't really be able to evolve. You won't really be able to claim your divinity. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So, one on the negative aspect of one, you want to put down like you don't want to be too selfish, too argumentative, too egotistical. You know how those leaders are. You can't tell them nothing. So if you so you want to be mindful of that energy as well. Okay.
mhm,
So
mhm.
back to the two, we already told you the two is about peace, cooperative, being intuitive, peacemaking. You think of two people, right? That's two. They have to work together. But sometimes the negative aspects of a two will be you're too shy, you're too emotional, you're too dependent on people. You can't get moving because you're waiting on the other half of you to do something. Okay. And then you got the number three. And all I'm doing now is just talking about the energies that resonates with the numbers. And there's a litany of other properties that align with the numbers, like a color, a day of the week,
Wow.
a tarot card, a fire, element. There's a whole bunch of little bitty different things. Okay, well, we're going to go back to the number four. Okay, so the four, and you think about a box, you think about four sides. So fours are your out of the box thinkers. They're structured. They're hardworking. They're really straight. They're really organized. But the negative aspects of a four would be that they're just too materialistic. They're too blunt. Okay. I don't think I gave you the negative aspects of the three, did I?
We
I'm
didn't do
gonna go
three
back.
yet. Let's go back
Okay,
to
we
the two.
okay. Okay,
Mhm,
well the three is all about a party. You got two people, that's cool, but when you got three people, that's a party. And
mhm,
you have to have some communication with the three, or it's going to be chaos, right? So three is all about communication, motivational speaking, being versatile. That's
mhm,
what that three is. The party starters. They can talk to anyone.
mhm,
But then you have the negative aspects of the three that sometimes they can be too childish, too braggadocious, or just too extreme. You know what
mhm,
I'm saying? But
mhm,
then you have the fours. Again, the fours are the out of the box thinkers. They're structured. My daughter's a four. So
mhm,
everything that a four resonates within my daughter. She's
mhm,
very adventurous. She's just self-reliance. All of those good things go with the number four. You want to think of a box. A box is structure. It isn't off balance or anything like that. They need structure or there to be chaos for them. But some of the negative aspects of the four is chaos. They
mhm,
get nervous a lot if things aren't right. And if
mhm.
things are the same all the time, they get bored because they're trapped in a box. So those are the type of things I use to correlate with the numbers. The best number in the whole system to me is a five. Why? Because I'm a five. And Miss BJ Martin's a
I'm a
five.
five.
But they're all great. They're all great.
Yes,
But
yes.
fives is like me. We're ruled by Mercury. So Mercury's the fastest planet that revolves around the sun. So we're fast talkers, fast thinkers. We like to move. We what are we? We're like Quicksilver. We like to do a thing. We like to travel. We're very versatile, adventurous, all that good stuff.
Learn fast.
Learn
Fast
fast, learn
learners.
fast,
Mhm,
very fast
mhm,
learning. We're similar to a threes too, because we can be very childish and nervous and bored too. And you know what I mean? So we're kind of like a combination of all the previous five numbers because we're like in the middle almost. And
mhm,
then you have the sixes. The sixes ruled by Venus. So they're all about love, light, peace. They're very service oriented and responsible and loving. They're the
mhm,
nurturers. They're really caring. They like to be beautified. You know what I'm saying? It might take them an hour to get dressed because they really care about the way they look. But one thing about the six, they can be materialistic. They can be jealous and they can be really judgmental. If you like to be fly all the time and someone's not matching your fly, you look at them, they
Ooh,
think they doing it. They think they doing it. But that's just the negative aspect of the six.
mhm,
So when
mhm,
you see these characteristics in people, yourself or your children or people it's good to always try to figure them out by their number and then go back and do their numbers to see if your intuition is in alignment with the numbers.
mhm,
Okay. So
mhm,
now we got the sevens. My wife's a 7. I love 7s. Most of my friends are 7s. I
Mhm.
wish I was a 7, but 5 is winning. You know how we do.
Yes.
So 7s are a real intuitive. They're the spiritual people. They love being alone, mysticism, the imaginations. They're always daydreaming. They're the type of people you're talking to them, and you say, "Hey, you hear me?" They're like, "Oh, what was you saying?" That's the
Gone.
7. They're just gone. They love being alone.
Mhm.
But some of the negative aspects of a 7 is they're too dreamy. They may be a little standoffish because they don't want a lot of friends,
Mhm.
and they're maybe slightly deceitful. Not a liar, but they're not willingly like a 6. Like, yeah, I like this. I like this. I want this. I want you to do this. A 7, like, you figure me out,
Mm.
and I'll give you an A if you get it right.
Wow. Okay.
But that's just the energy of the 7. I love 7s because they're very trustworthy and they're
Mhm.
usually attuned with what's going on. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then you have the 8s. Everybody want to be an 8. Well, I don't want to say everybody want to be an 8, but those are your entrepreneurs, your business people. They're very powerful. They have
Mhm.
strong authority, finances, trading, investing, and things like that. All of that resonates with the number 8. But the thing about the 8 is they're usually really greedy. They're really greedy. They want it all. I give you $1,000. Can I get 1,000 too? They're argumentative. You
Mhm.
tell them something, they're like, well, I don't think it's like that. They just want to get the last word, powerful, power hungry. Those are the negative aspects of the 8. Again, neither is good or bad.
Right.
They're just aspects of who you are that you might want to either enhance or dissolve a little bit. And
Mhm.
then you have the last number in the Chaldean numerology. Well, not the last number, but the number 9 is the last number. The numbers go through 1 through 9. The number 9 is the number of it's the humanitarian. They're very versatile. They're very compassionate, inspirational. They're the type of people that give their shirt off their back to help someone. They're the type of people that's going to go out and protest. They're the type of people that'll help anyone, feed the homeless. But sometimes they can be too aggressive, too violent, and then too selfish. So
Mhm.
that's just a breakdown of 1 through 9, the energies of the numbers.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow, and that's a good thing to know. Y'all need to really get into numerology. It's just like it's just numbers. It's science, right? It's spiritual for me too. I mean, I don't think you can't separate the two, science from spirituality. It's all one big togetherness. You can't separate the two. That's how I feel. Because there is an energy. There's an energy to the numbers. There's a I don't know if you've ever experienced like seeing the double numbers, just looking on the clock and seeing 555 or
I
seeing
have.
222 and 1111. That's the spiritual side of it. Also sending out some type of a message with that. So science and spirituality is one and the same.
Yeah, one
That's
is
how I feel. Hmm.
I look at spirituality as a shadow of science.
Hmm.
Science is what you can see, is tangible, it's here.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
spirituality is the shadow of that. It's
Yes.
the unseen that affects the seen. And
Hmm.
when you can create a bridge for both of them to talk, or you can understand the two, you can start really reconstructing the tapestry of your reality. You can
Hmm.
start manipulating things by being a co-creator, and you're just not riding this surfboard and letting the ocean of life take you where you need to go.
Hmm.
But when you see those numbers, it's your higher self or your inner self trying to get a message through to you. Whenever you see a number like 333, 444, birthdays, it doesn't matter. When you see the number, don't go on Google and say, hey, Google, what does this number mean? You write down the number, you add those numbers up, and that finite number is a resonance of what your inner self is trying to tell you. We have what's called numerical subspace domains within our consciousness. And it's like a jukebox. And there's certain codes that you play to yourself that unlocks things within you. So if you see a number like 444, all that is there's some type of code within you that's going to unlock. You don't even need to know that you're getting the answer. It's just letting you know, hey, you got it, on to the next one. If you
Hmm.
keep seeing it over and over and over, that means you haven't gotten the message yet. When you stop seeing that number, that means you've been upgraded.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So that's all these numbers are. They're just sometimes, let's say you're talking with your boyfriend or your husband or your child. You say, hey, baby, what's going on? Oh, nothing. When they say nothing, don't keep asking them because they're going to just shut down. do this trick. Hey, give me 3 numbers right now. Just give me 3 numbers. They'll say, okay, 3, 6, 5. So 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 5 is 14. So that adds up to the number 5. So they could be thinking about traveling. They could be thinking about being adventurous. That's just the energy of what's going on in their thoughts right now.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of asking people what's going on in their mind, ask them how they're feeling, and then say, hey, give me 3 numbers, and you'll get your answer.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
When?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't know that you could use numerology so many ways.
Oh, yeah, there's a litany of ways to use numerology. When I first got into numerology, it wasn't even called numerology.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in 6th grade, I was a math lead. I don't know if you remember, we used to go down to WCET and have math competitions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for some of us, the ones that were good at math on
Right.
Thursdays, we would go down there once a month and do that.
I was not good
And,
at math.
and my first math competition, I didn't do so well because I wasn't quick with the numbers. I didn't know all the tricks. And my mom went out and bought me this book called Math Magics. And it helped me deduce and reduce numbers down quickly. It taught me little tricks, like if you got a number like 669, how would you know if that number was divisible by 3? You would add all those numbers up, and if that finite number adds up to 3, you know that number goes into 3.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was taking all these California achievement tests back in the day, they say, you got this number 6,744, 404. Which number goes into that? I would just simply add them all up. And I knew that 3 goes into it because it's a 3 goes into that number. And then there were some other things, like whenever you have a number ending in 5, multiplied by itself, it's going to always be 25. So if I have a number like 15 times 15, it's going to be 25 at the end. And then the 1 that's in 15, you multiply that by the next number, which is 2. So the answer is going to be 225. You have a number like 25 times 25. You know, the last number is going to be 25. 2 times 3, the next number is 6. So 25 times 25 is 625. All the way to 75 times 75.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just say 50 times 50 for those who aren't really quick with math. You know that the 55 times 55 is going to end in 25. And what's 5 times 6? 30. So your answer is going to be 30, 25. So that little trick right there, along with the other tricks that I've learned, helped me go through these tests. I'm finishing my tests. People are still scratching their heads. So that's when I knew that there was power within numbers, even before I knew about numerology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's dope. That's dope because man, math. I wish you was in my class
Mm,
because I couldn't stand math. I just wasn't a big math
mm,
person. But ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to be a math person to get into numerology.
mm.
That's not it. This guy, he's good with numbers. He has been for a while. He does a lot with these numbers, but you don't have to be a math whiz or that great in math or at anything. Numerology is something different. It's something that you can, and it's not about passing the test, right? Or mastering it. It's really about learning more about who you are initially. You really want
That's
to
it.
learn about, yeah, it's about, and because the more you learn about self, the more you dig in deeper, the more you learn about others around you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to find out your life path number. Now you mentioned that there is you use the Chaldean
Mm-hmm.
style to figure out. I know there's another style as well that may be a
Sure.
little more.
That's
Is it
that's the Pythagorean theorem. Well, excuse me, the Pythagorean
like we
system.
on that math?
We start talking about math, we start talking about the Pythagorean theorem that he had stolen, but he had claimed as his own. But
Right.
Pythagoras, there was a book that I read called Stolen Legacy back when I was in my 20s. And it
Mhm,
talks about how all these Greek philosophers and Greek mathematicians went over to Luxor to learn in Kemet. And then they came back home after studying within these mystery systems for so long. They came back to Greeks in Rome and all this other good stuff, and they claimed it as their own.
mhm,
And that's what Pythagoras did. He seen Chaldean numerology and he wanted to make something and put his stamp on it. And he
okay.
created Pythagorean numerology. It's a lot easier, but for me, I like
Mhm,
Chaldean because it goes with who you are.
mhm,
Pythagorean only goes by what you were born with. Like if your
mhm,
name was Ann Smith in your birth certificate, but if you got married and you're now Ann Martin, and the name Ann Martin is going to resonate a little different than Ann Smith, and
mhm,
Pythagorean won't get you that.
mhm, mhm. Yes, and also, and thank you for that information. I know it's probably different kinds of styles, but I like the fact that you even have the history of uh what happened, something being stolen, something is always being stolen, and somebody always wants to put their own stamp on something
Hmm.
all the
I don't
time.
care. I don't care what you're learning or what you're doing. If
Mhm,
you believe in it and you're running with it, it's always good to go and check out the sediment or the foliage of where it came from. And
mhm,
then you can then decide versus just willingly giving your power away to something that you truly don't understand.
mhm.
And that's inflicting our consciousness right now. We're following systems that we truly don't understand because it was been bequeathed to us through our parents or through
Right,
pain.
right, right, right. So, yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, I brought up the numbers because I have heard people talking about how they've been seeing numbers, but they thought they were tripping. They thought something was going on with them. They thought they was about to have a mental breakdown, or they felt weird. Um, and they didn't know. We don't always have somebody we can go talk to about those type of things. And so that's why I wanted to share that. Yeah, I see the numbers. The first number that I saw a lot, it's like spirit was trying to get my attention, was 820. It was my birthday. 8
Mm,
820, y'all.
okay. Okay.
That's the number I kept seeing over and over again. That was what was grabbing my attention at first.
Hmm.
I didn't know anything about numerology. I wasn't into astrology. I always like the basics, just what's your zodiac sign. So I was
Hmm.
always looking up zodiac signs and all of that, but I didn't know anything about an astrology chart or any of that at that time when I kept seeing my
Hmm.
birthday. So that was my first like awakening. Now, it wasn't my first I want to say awakening experience, because I was always the one that felt like I would be, honestly, I'd be in church and I'd be like, why am I here? And sometimes
Hmm.
we would be clapping and it'd be so weird. I've never told anybody this. I would feel like out of place or off beat. It was really, my experience got really weird. And I was like, and I kept asking, why am I here? And I wanted to make sure like I was there for the right reasons, and I don't have anything against church or anything. You do what you need to do uh,
Hmm.
for your own spiritual growth. But once I started seeing my that 820 everywhere, and I started getting into learning more about me, getting into numerology, getting into astrology, get all the things that they tell us that is of the devil. It's like everything they tell us to stay away from is really what we need to get into, because it's
Mm.
like yeah, because the people that's telling you not to get into that, they're doing it.
Yes.
Everything they tell
The
you not to do, they're doing it behind closed doors, because they don't
there's
want
a
you
re-
truth about you, who you are. Go ahead.
this is true. This is true. And the old Bibles, when we first got over here, they had numerology, astrology, all that stuff in there.
Mhm,
But what started happening? People start claiming their divinity. They start learning these systems and they start to prosper. When you
mhm,
know what's about to come, you can prepare. When you
mhm,
know that you have these tools, you'll use them. So
mhm,
they took the tools out of the so-called word and they said it was evil and blasphemous and all this other stuff, so you couldn't claim your divinity. And
mhm,
they're using it against you.
mhm,
And I'm not anything. I'm everything. If it works,
mhm.
I'm taking it. I'm running with it.
That's
I'm
right.
not doing something just because you tell me it's bad. So for those who are religion, hey, if you're winning with it, keep doing it.
Win.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, keep win at all costs.
Right.
But it's always good to use some type of earthly algorithms that's going to help you evolve. A lot of
Mhm,
day traders, a lot of investors, they don't be in a computer looking all day. They use preset algorithms to help them win financially,
mhm,
you know? And you
mhm,
can do the same.
mhm, mhm. And people, they ask me like, what is there a certain type of people you have on your show? What is the what do they have to? I invite everybody. I don't care what your background is. Buddhism,
Mhm.
Christianity, whatever, atheist, whatever you are, doesn't matter to me. That it doesn't matter at all, because everybody's not going to be doing the same thing, and everybody's not going to have the same belief systems. But just because you don't believe what I believe doesn't mean that you don't have anything to offer, to share, not only to me but to the world, or my audience.
Mhm.
Um, It's all about, hey, how do you treat me? How do we treat each other?
Mm, mm.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters. So
If you're
yeah.
not if you're not leading with love, the system you're using isn't working.
Just my imagination, or is it just insanity?